Hello, hi everybody. Okay, we're back at it again. This is our third live. My name is Jabulile, and we're having these chat with a few of my good friends and just a few people who I truly admire the most. People who are quite passionate about Africa, and we're just sharing some of our views, our feels about the continent. So, if you are going to join, and if you're joining through, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Just want to get a sense of my guest. I know she's ready. Just to give a bit of a review about her. She's from Botswana, so she's an empress from Botswana. Me and her call each other empress. She calls me queen. Mother Masire. Let's see. She's not yet here. Anyway, let's just give it a few more seconds. I mean, we are early anyway. We just like 2 minutes or so a little earlier, so let's just give it a little bit of time, and I'm sure she'll join us soon. Thank you guys. I see a lot of people coming through. Hi Smangaliso, Mbuligantando, hi, thank you for joining. I think we have about a minute to go, if I'm not mistaken. Literally, yeah. So let me quickly get a sense of, I know she's ready. We shouldn't rush her because we're the early ones. Okay, so I hope you guys had a good day. And I must say that we appreciate the support that we have received since we started these. I remember when I first started talking about these, I promised that maybe the first one, because it wasn't so good, that we weren't going to do it again. But we kind of got a sense from people that they wanted more. I think there's something I need to do here. Allow me to just pause for a bit and bring in a guest. Perfect, I think she's here. If you can hear me, give me a hint, please, Mother. I can see your handle, but not really your face. Yeah. Okay, so I actually see you in the comments. Let me send you. Yes, there we go. That's how we should do it. Yes, there we go. I promise you, if it wasn't because of my mentees pushing me to do this, I honestly wouldn't. All right, so I have invited you. I've accepted you. It said join. I hope. Yeah, there we go. Finally. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. I know that I can see the internet is struggling a bit, but it's fine. Let's give it a few seconds. Perfect. Hi, Empress. Is the feed slow? Can you hear and see me well?
Good evening.
So I probably need you to either, so I can see you, but I can't hear you.
Can you see me and hear
Perfect.
me?
I can now, both. Perfect. These things I was just saying, this Instagram thing is probably, I don't know, it's very tedious, I must say. Can you hear me? Yeah, perfect. All right, so I can hear you and I can see you. I can hear you. I can hear you clearly, yeah. And I can see you, so we're good to go. Yo, you know what? I was just saying earlier, if my mentees were not putting me up to this, I probably wouldn't do this because it's really tedious, I must say. It's very different from the Zoom, which I absolutely love, or Teams. Mara, we will conquer. It's fine. Thank you so much, Mother, and welcome. I can see your internet is a little problematic, but we'll just stick it out, eh? We'll stick it out. Hi, Bonolo. Thank you for joining. If you can hear me, I'm going to just get into it. If you can't, maybe just give me a sign. But thank you for joining us, and thank you for agreeing to this little brief chat. Our chats are quite short, by the way, just 30 minutes. Ne? And we pump you with just like a lot of questions. Well, I'm joking, just five. 5 questions in 30 minutes. And I mean, just to give background to you and for those who are joining in, right? We are doing this. It's not a series. It's not happening every week, to be honest with you. We started off doing these because we were celebrating and wanting to reflect during the month of May about Africa and trying to speak to Africans who are very passionate about our continent, who are also doing significant stuff that inspires us, because we felt we need to revive that African spirit, or at least I felt like we needed to do that. So now we're getting into Youth Month in South Africa, as you would know, and we probably will take a turn and chat about one or two things. But your visit today, it's quite unique because we are going to reflect on Africa, but at the same time, we're going to tap into the work that you're doing, because you do a lot of work as a mindfulness practitioner, and it's quite holistic. You deal with leaders, you help boards, people sitting on boards, and I call people like you who do the work that you do, I call them healers, cushioners and carriers, really, because, and the menders of our society, because there's absolutely nothing that can work if your soul isn't in line or aligned, and your mind and that sort of thing. So we are so thankful for the work that you do. And one of my first questions to you is that as a mindfulness practitioner, which, by the way, it's not something that's very common in our community. You've worked in corporate, which is great because you've got the background of that sector. And now you work with leaders who sit on boards, and just generically leaders as well, helping them with their productivity, with clarity and that sort of thing. What do you think, what is your view in terms of what constitutes productivity in essence, and clarity and focus in a high-paced world? I mean, me and you are having an IG live right now on a Thursday afternoon. We've had a hectic day and a hectic week. Whether it was productive, focus, filled with clarity, we don't know. How do you think we can infuse that, or what constitutes productivity in your view, based on the work that you do?
Okay, thank you, Empress. Mother K here, to our guests. Hmm, I like that question, because you then, boxed people that are living in high pace. From my end, I like dealing with human beings from a human point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So that is really the starting point. And for anybody to be functional, regardless of what you're doing, you are interested in being productive, to have clarity, and all those things that you've mentioned, whether you are in corporate, whether you are at Masimu, whether you are a teacher. So I would like to address it holistically. I would say it will need somebody's wellness, holistic wellness. We are emotional beings, and we have been socialized. And I don't know who came up with this thing. I just realized that much later, that emotions, are things that we shouldn't bring on the table at work. But what I got to find out, emotions are actually our gems, because once we understand them and understand ourselves, we are able to tap into them and be able to be productive, to have clarity, to be physically aligned with body, mind, and soul. So I will say wellness, holistic wellness is what is needed for productivity,
Focus, yeah.
clarity, and the others
It's
that
funny
you've
how we
mentioned.
divorce all of that, though. We always think it's, I don't
Yeah,
know, for some reason we tear
yeah,
ourselves apart and think I can function even when my emotions are not really aligned. I could still be productive, and it's like not doing justice to self. And I think it's very important for us to understand that the person must be okay and in alignment to function. Otherwise, really, there's no sense of productivity, whether at work or a sense of joy or peace or comfort, really, anyway, because you're not functioning. You are scattered in the mind, you are scattered in the soul. And you put it so well, the whole person. So the core of the person must be in line. Now, Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. And I like how you said, can I interject there, where you talked about being, you're separated, you're scattered. And as emotional beings, our emotions are actually interpretation of the energy that is within, that is going on within ourselves. So when that energy is scattered and all over, that means you don't have energy to really fulfill anything that you're trying to in a holistic sense. You may be able to be driving that car if it's ending at 360 throughout, but the damage that you are doing and the long term, are you really being productive there? Are you gaining?
The
So long term, you don't even consider that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
It's it's
actually
it's it's
realizing
it's
that
a
perhaps we need to
whole
just have a separate discussion
discussion on its
about.
own.
I've seen and read this somewhere. Think about think about what you're thinking about. This whole idea of being alert to being mindful. Actually, you've said that to me on Facebook at some point. So I had lost my
Absolutely.
spectacles, and I thought you're searching for your spectacles, but you actually have them. And you mentioned something intriguing about how sometimes we're just not mindful because of, I suppose,
Yeah.
being distracted or just overwhelmed. Anyway, we need another talk about this, where we'll talk about the deeper sense of mindfulness. But I want to tap into Botswana quickly. My Look,
Yeah.
each time I chat to somebody, I go, "That's my favorite country." It's like me
Yeah.
trying to, like a parent trying to let all their children know that you're my favorite child separately, and they think they've got this nice, interesting secret. So it's also one of my favorite countries. I love Botswana, but I mean, my reason, at least for this one, is slightly deeper. My great grandmother, Ke Motswana. So I mean, I have quite a number of
Mm.
roots in me. I'm an African hybrid, but my great grandmother is
Oh,
Tswana.
for me.
Hence, I was born and bred in Northwest, so I've got very strong Tswana roots. Don't be intimidated by my Zulu warrior name. But I love Botswana to be honest with you, because it also upholds, there's four pillars, if I could put it that way, where it upholds democracy, development, self-reliance, which I like very much, and unity as a country. So it upholds these principles as one of the national principles, very central to the foundation of nation building. And I love that, because the work that you do, I'm hoping we can align it for people who are watching to how important the person is, but this person is important as a core, because this person is part of a community, Akir, and we've got to coexist with each other. So it's very important to get this core person,
Mm.
individual, right, because this individual eventually forms part of. Now, in the African community, we know, Hore, a daughter-in-law, or as we
Mm-hmm.
put it, a daughter-in-love is a daughter, right? These in-law and in-loves is just really fashion trend stuff. A daughter-in-law is a
Mm-hmm.
daughter. Now, you have
Yeah.
spent significant time with the former
Mm-hmm.
president, His Excellency Sir Ketumile Masire, who was obviously former president of Botswana. You have spent significant time in his presence. You
Mm-hmm.
are his daughter-in-law. You are part of that family. I'm interested to know, what lessons have you learned from him as a leader and also as a father that you still carry with you today?
Okay. It's interesting. My company is called Botho Treats of Botho. And that is one, there are a lot of things that I learned from him. But for the purpose of this conversation and minding time, I would pick Botho, the topic of today. I am because you are, you know. We are coexisting to co-create. So each one of us need to be well, you know. And that is what he embodied. You know, if you didn't know his title, you wouldn't know that, he assumed that title because he was who he was throughout, regardless of is it the space, people, young, old, it didn't matter. And, he made sure his legacy for us as children was that, Boko, Seto, is what will,
Yeah.
make people listen to you because they feel you are part of them. regardless. So in essence, when I link that to what I do, I would like to just share a story, because I used to, unlike you know that, Pan-African sister, we need to tell our story, we should do our own thing. And here was mindfulness is inspired by Buddhism and Asian principles. And that used to bother me. Well, I was questioning myself whether I'd been hypocritical about the whole thing, because my word means everything. If I say something, I should also embody that. So then I came to a conclusion that if it's good, then it's good. It doesn't matter where it comes from. Then over time, boom, I realized that we have these principles in Africa, particularly in my own Setswana. So when you greet somebody, you say dumelang, And in Botswana, that is how we are brought up. You greet everybody when you meet them. And point in case, people these days don't practice that much. If you try to just pass somebody who is a service provider, let's say a security guard at the mall, and then you realize that you need his help. When you come back to him and say, "Excuse me, ne ke kopa thuso," they will 80% of the time said, "Oh, so so you can realize that I'm a person, because you pass here, that was a tree. So that is actually what namaste mean. I'm recognizing the humanity and light in you. So if I'm well, you are well. So I need to take care of you as I care for myself. How I communicate in whatever situation I may be. And I'll just take a little bit on this. A lot of people now, because we just been separating from Botho, they mistake it for people being docile. Say, no, you're using this. And it doesn't mean that at all. I am recognizing. So when you are acting out as a person, I recognize myself when I'm acting out. How would I like somebody to interact with me? Would I like somebody to throw in the petrol, or would I like somebody to just ground me and let me come back to myself? Because most of the time when people are hurting others or acting out or behaving in ways that is not human, it's because they are misaligned. They are not themselves. So when you hold them, that is
and it's so tough, because sometimes there's also these boundaries. I think I don't know, our modern culture would come with boundaries. Don't help people who didn't really indicate that they need help. How do you ever know? And I've always said, it takes a lot away. Look, with all respect, I suppose, but I feel like a little piece of our humanity goes with that, because Motho could be needing help, but usamuthusi because maybe there's boundaries, or it's like you outside, like, how do we address people? You know what I mean? But I always feel the Botho part, really there's the humane part, which is a default. I feel it should be a default, should be always ready to. It's a default, really. Anything outside of that is something that's positioned or reacting to either a particular class or mood or something. It's not easy, but I'm happy that we talk about this so we can remind each other.
Yeah, and what you were saying regarding when not to know, in Setho Botho, Setho is then, which is part of any work that I do, part of my healing, we will always touch on a bit of self-awareness. So when you are self-aware, you are able to discern certain energy, to even know how you help somebody. Helping somebody may not just be offering, it may just being there with them to a point where now they are comfortable to then say, this is what I would like, because they also don't know, where you are at for them to ask. So there is that innate thing. If we are just to go back to looking at things from within, which is our sepu, who we are within ourselves, outside. Because with development and a whole lot of things, we are looking
I love that.
from
Today
outside
we
within.
really just bringing to the fore this concept of Botho.
Yeah.
By the way, it's diminishing, so it's quite important and timely that we do that, right? Very important work, because we cannot lose that. I personally don't care how modern we become, how globally minded we become. I just believe it's important, and just really keep that essence. I think for Africa, for me, that's what describes, or rather defines us, besides other things. Now, sticking on to the Botho concept, I'm aware that Botho is consistent with the expectations and cultural norms of the Setswana society, because you've already alluded to that a lot. It's in who you are, how you get. It's there, this Botho essence. I'd like you to tell us a little bit about the impact that this teaching has had when you were being raised, as you were growing up, but also the impact that it has had in your job, or kind of still has even now, this Botho essence.
Okay. What is interesting is you're not taught. What is interesting is it's not something that you are taught. It's something that you observe as a child. And my belief is every single human being, whether African or not, is an innate thing of humanity. And then as Africans, we just accentuated it and just took that essence and made it part of who we are. But everybody has it. So growing up, I did see that in terms of community, a child, how you talk to other people, even how elders address children. We like to believe that in our culture, elders talk to children down. No, that is not part of, they talk to children different ways depending on different circumstances. So that is what I was brought up. So it just became, and at that stage during my childhood, when the biggest compliment as a child you will get was, hey, you manasa man, whose child is this?
Yeah.
And you will just
You're
feel
with the
like
right
you got
camp.
that gold star on your forehead, you know. And I think that just made us feel good. And then linking that to what I do now, because it was a journey, and I believe it's part of my purpose. In finding my purpose or getting in this journey, I address the question of who are you outside your head, outside what you do. So I thought in answering that, I should look at my essence. And how do I describe my essence? In things that I would like to God. If there were two things in this world that I was asked to gift people to experience, would be love and peace. And with love and peace, you are able to coexist with others better, your environment, and even yourself. So my job then became something that I do to embody exactly that with other principles that are around. Is it mindfulness? Is it our own African wisdom? Whatever I find that can add value.
Your work is important. Your work, in my view, is the glue that should keep companies together. It is the glue that should keep societies together, because it deals with the inner person. The inner person can be very problematic. And we must remember what I said when we started earlier, like the inner person is the same person who goes out and forms, becomes basically coexists with other people. So a community comes from these many inner people. I'm interested to hear your views about our tradition and norms and culture, if I could put it that way, because over the years, when we grow up and we read, we learn, we unlearn, and we begin to question, and that sort of thing. But there are so many beautiful things. There's a lot of common things that are basic. They are really harmless. They are beautiful. They advance social cohesion and so forth. Do we stand a chance of unity, if I could put it that way, as Africa, as Africans, knowing the kind of problems that we have? Not just Botswana, not just South Africa, not just, we have some issues, right? It's not unique to any country. Having spoken about everything we spoke about, do you think we stand a chance of unity where at some point we can at least move in one accord, Nyana, to say, for Africa by Africans, at least in one direction? Is there hope for a reality like that in your view?
I so believe in that. It may not be on my time, it may, I don't know, but I totally believe that. My belief is exactly on what you said before you asked that question. A country, a continent is made up by people, by the people. So if each individual can just become self-aware, know what works out for you, their environment, and not necessarily focus on the pain of our past. We've been socialized to use pain to motivate us. But I personally am done with motivation. I want inspiration. I want inspiration. We are here. This pain have other beautiful things that have contributed. And why don't we take those beautiful things and start telling our stories? Personally, last year I decided I'm flipping everything and doing even business differently from the book. Yes, I'm taking good principles. There are just so many beautiful things in our own culture that I can actually just make up. So if we can individually, then that individual makes a family, the family makes the community, the community. So when people now are healed within, when we are talking, we can hear each other. We don't hear each other because we are in different radars. And, most of the time when we're talking pain. And when you talk, there's a whole lot of things that even the solutions that we come out with, they have essence of pain with that, and we practice it so much that it becomes our norm. So, if each one of us can just heal themselves or help the other
I
with light,
absolutely
whatever
love that.
that light
If each
is,
one could just help the other with
that's
light,
how I
all of
think.
us have it. Listen, it's very important. That's all it takes, I
Yes,
guess,
and start
to,
with ourselves.
again, I'd like to refer to a quote. I just don't know who to accredit it to, but it's common where it says that, you don't need to blow somebody else's candle for yours to shine or something like that. If anything, both candles bring a much more brighter light for even more than two people. And I think that's quite important for us to understand this whole help each other aspect.
Absolutely. And you know why we do that? Blow others' light off. That's why I say self-awareness and it start with the self is very important because you don't even realize you own it. So, and you wish for a light. And when you see this light, it reminds you of that light that you know you can have. So it's painful. So let me rather just switch it off so that I don't even see what I can have.
Maybe. I'd like to, so we're literally at the end, right? I just want you to share with us your wildest dream. Yeah, Africa. What is Africa's dream for you? Or what's your dream about Africa?
Okay, I think I've just mentioned a little bit on everything that I said, but just putting it together is, going back to our indigenous wisdom and using other things that we do have now and allowing each individuals to dream, but using passions like, oh my God, the architecture, the education, the food, and allow the expansion, but from our
Please,
own essence. That's
let's
my
get
dream.
there already, where we celebrate our stuff, and not just celebrate them, but do our stuff, own our stuff, push and drive our own things. I
Yeah,
believe we'll get there one day. I think I'm like you.
yeah,
Maybe a lot of people must believe in that, so
yeah,
this dream can be
absolutely.
real at some point.
No, I mean, if you believe, going back to what I was saying, so that we even practice it ourselves, is if I believe it and we have this conversation, did you just see how alive I'm talking about that? You actually thought, oh, it would be nice to have a table full and we discussed
Yeah,
that. And that just built the momentum, and who
yeah,
knows? So let's just keep talking a dream about Africa
yeah.
like you are doing. And we really appreciate, I personally
Thank you.
really
Likewise.
appreciate
And
what you're
in your
doing,
words, your
and
favorite word,
you
namaste.
inspire me.
Mother K, my last question is your
Namaste.
message to the youth. In South Africa,
Dumela.
obviously, June, you would know 1976, that
Mm,
historical legacy background. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, though, because they're just very keen on economic opportunities more than the legacy, because they know the political story, but they're more keen on give us jobs, let's move forward and create our own. Fair enough. You've got to be able to move beyond the political talk and just empower young people. What message do you have, for South
mhm.
African young people in this particular month?
Okay, what I would just like them to say to them is just go back to themselves and get to know who they are and dream their dreams. Dream their own dreams in the platform that have already been created. It is what it is. Certain things that you cannot change, let not them dominate your thinking. But with dreams, you get motivated. Have you just ever dreamt about something? You don't think about the house, you find ways. It's just so beautiful and things are moving on. So let's just keep the momentum. Our forefathers did fighting
Mm.
with our brains, with our wisdom, with our, what our forefathers put ahead of us, and just who we are. That's my message.
I
Let's
love that.
dream our
So
dreams.
the internet is acting up again, but it's fine. I think we're able to get an essence of what you're saying. Dream our own dreams, which is it basically just summarizes everything we've spoken about here. It's not just, I mean, before you get to even celebrate each other's work or each other, we've got to dream our own stuff, I guess, right? And not be puppets of other people's stuff, right? We need to get to a point where we create our own
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So being able to dream our own dreams for me
Yes.
is really just being truthful to self. And I cannot think of a better message for a young person. You may be looking for money, you may be looking for a whole lot of other things,
Mm.
but really to be yourself, to even take whatever inspiration or creativity, but as long as it's coming from within you as your true self, your true energy, I think there's a very big chance that you'll be okay. Thank you so much. I know the internet
Mm.
is literally nobody's friend. We know this, right? But I think we've been able to have a very inspirational
Mm.
chat, and I know for a fact that it'll inspire those who even see it moving forward. We appreciate your time, Mother K, as it continues to act up. But thank you and enjoy your evening. We'll probably chat again soon.
Mm.
Good evening. You're welcome.
Thank,
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you. Thank you very
Okay
much.
then.
It was
Bye.
my pleasure. Good evening.